Greetings. Today you find me in a wood. I know that's not strictly unusual, but today I'm on a recce. Today is more about looking than photography, and the reason for that is that I'm scouting for workshop locations here in the Lake District. So just spending a bit of time assessing the potential, looking at whether paths are easy to follow, you know, slopes and things like that, just in case people you know, have a physical challenge. It just makes sure then, no matter what happens, I've got a suite of locations to choose from. I've been in this wood now for quite some time. This is Monesty Wood at the southern edge of Derwent Water. Just wandering really, looking, stopping, pausing. My feet ache, which I could really do without. But autumn is on its way, and there are just several trees that are just starting to tinge with autumn colour. Also today, it's quite a bright sunshiny day, so not really ideal for landscape photography, which is why I've chosen just to wander around and look. But with bits of autumn around, I've got all of this green all around me. You can see it all behind me, and then just once in a while you come across a splash of autumn colour, just like that, and it's in the air. You can almost taste autumn coming. And I've stopped because I love this little tree in front of me, which it was behind me just now. I'm going to spin the camera around actually and just walk through the compositional options. I know a lot of my videos are about composition, but it is a fact that these days, with the technology that's available, it's relatively straightforward to create a decently exposed, sharp picture, because the technology helps you to do it. Composition, that's something that the artist, the photographer, inputs into the image, and there's not software that can do that for you yet. Well, yeah, not yet. So let me just spin the camera around and let's assess a few options whilst I talk to you. Okay, so here's my tree. This is more or less as I saw it as I walked towards it, just backing away from it a little bit, so I could just see it peeking out from behind the rest of the trees. And as I'm walking along, I could see this splash of colour just stand out and look. You know, it stands out, right? It's there in amongst all the green, and for me it immediately drags or draws the eye. Now from this point of view, I could frame it with this tree here, let that one sit in the middle. There's another tree here. Where's my finger gone? There's another tree here, but I don't know whether you can see this on the camera, but there's a dead branch just there. It's not particularly very appealing. This one's quite nice. I quite like this structure, but I'm not sure it particularly sits very well in that space. So I then decided to walk along, and this was more or less where I started to talk to you. And I got to here. In fact, the sun's started to come out. That's quite nice. So from here, let me just zoom out a bit. I've got a base. So where's my finger gone there? So I've got a base, which is this line of ferns along the bottom of the image. So if I lift the camera up slightly and level it, there we go. So I've now got a base to my picture. I've got two branches that come out from the base of the tree. There's one here and there's one there. That complements the base. The tree feels rooted. I know it is, but you know, you need to inform the viewer that it's rooted. It can't just float around in mid-air. The challenge now is to find a little bit of separation. So I haven't done this yet, and I'm going to take you on this little journey with me. I'm just going to walk past the tree and keep looking at it. Now that's not so good for me because A, I've got some white sky, but now this branch here is starting to intrude, and I don't like that so much. And just to complete the scenario, I'm just going to keep going, and what you actually end up with now is even more white sky, and I think that's starting to dominate a little bit too much. I think you lose the impact of the base as well. That's not quite so strong. So I'm going to come back this way, and I'm determined to use this little tree. Right, so now can you see there's this deeper piece here. I wish it was bigger, but it isn't. But if I move, I'm actually going to come forward a little bit. But if I come there, right, so I've kept my base. Just going to zoom out a tad more. I've kept my base, that's all there. I can still see those two branches, this one here coming out and this one here coming out. Lift him up a little bit. But I've now got, there's a pale edge down this side, and I've also got a pale edge down this side. I'm actually being drawn visually to that tree. And if you can imagine it being a square, so take a piece off here and take a piece off there, and I think you've actually got quite a nice scene. But I think I would wait for the sun to go in. I think the bright areas here and around are actually dominating quite a lot, so I think I would wait for the sun to go in. But I'm going to frame that up and I'm going to give that a go. If it comes out okay, you will see it shortly. So the eagle-eyed amongst you there would have noticed that A, I was using a very, very flimsy tripod, and B, I was using intentional camera movement. Let's go with the flimsy tripod. The camera's on it right now. Because of the weather, because I'm out here recceing locations, you know, having the normal heavy-duty tripod is just not really particularly important. But you never know what's going to happen, and I always like to be prepared. So I have a lightweight travel tripod by Vanguard. It's not wild, and yes, I have to use the center column in order to extend the height, but it's lightweight, it's versatile, and I can set it up very quickly, and it's also got a panoramic head on it, which just enables me to use it for multiple purposes. Intentional camera movement. I know it's a bit of a Marmite subject, but I really like intentional camera movement, and the reason why I used it on that scene was just to try and diffuse it a little bit. There was an pre-autumnal atmosphere to the image that didn't quite come across so strongly in the sharp, normally composed image. Just blurring it a little bit, to my mind, just helps to create a little bit more of that atmosphere. So I've given that a try. To be fair, I'll make my mind up when I get home whether it works or whether it doesn't. But you know, if you try it in the field and it doesn't work, well, what's it cost you? Just cost you some pixels. I keep looking around because I want to make sure that there's nobody around. So what I've come across now is a low-hanging branch with a mixture of green, yellow and orange leaves. I'm looking at it, which is why I'm looking in that direction. There's actually several branches like it, but this one in particular caught my eye because it's backlit. Now it's quite difficult for me to capture it on this camera because this lens has only got a limited zoom range. Got my normal camera, I've got it in my hand, and what I'm going to do is look through the viewfinder and use it to just work the scene. The sun's come back out again now, and that's making it even more backlit. What I'm looking for is I want to try and capture what I originally saw, which is the backlit leaves all multicoloured, but I don't want any distractions beyond it. So my aperture will be f4, which is what the minimum aperture is on this lens, and I'm going to move around the scene and try and compose and try and find something that works. At the minute I'm thinking square, simply because I think a square will actually suit the arrangement of objects in the scene, but you know, I will experiment with all frame sizes to find out which one works best. So I'm going to have a look at that now. What was quite surprising there was that the original appeal was the backlit leaves when the sun was out, but I have to say I think they were actually more effective in camera when the sun had actually gone behind a cloud and the light wasn't quite so harsh. Again, I experimented with intentional camera movement. There is a wind blowing around, so branches are moving. I can hear the canopy up above me, and it just kind of felt right to see if I could incorporate that into the image. Again, I stuck with square. Square just seemed to work, just seemed to contain the elements in the scene proportionately. There was also a piece that was hanging down, so you sort of had that sweep coming into the frame. So I've had a play with that as well. And unusually, the sky wasn't intruding quite so much, not so much as I thought it would anyway, but I did have to get quite close to the subject in order to bring the sky down, bring the sky up in the picture so that it didn't intrude. But I actually found myself backing away and including a bit of the sky. Again, it just seemed to add to the atmosphere when I was actually looking through the viewfinder. The other thing that I did was I've got a cheap zoom lens that it's in my bag just in case, and today was definitely a just in case. I know the quality is nowhere near as good as the pro lenses that I've got, but it weighs nothing. It's as cheap as chips. It's about 100 quid, something like that. I think you can probably get them cheaper on eBay, but it's really, really handy to have when you need it. And I needed just a little bit more reach in order to frame those leaves and frame those branches properly. So I'm really, really pleased with that. I've literally just had a quick walk in the woods on the back of Low Brandlehow pier. There's nobody else here, it's just me, but it's just a wander and a think and a consider, and you know, the more you look, the more you take the time to absorb the place around you, the more images you find. It's as simple as that. And this has taken me 20 minutes, half an hour to have a little bit of a wander and just tune in to the fact that autumn is on its way, and I'm just seeing images pop up everywhere. You know, I could probably fill a half an hour video with this. I'm not going to, by the way. Trying to find emerging autumn scenes. In fact, my original tree is just over there, and that's starting to catch my eye again. I might actually go and grab another image of that whilst I'm here, so I don't waste the opportunity. So I reckon that's a wrap on that one. I'm just walking back down to the lake now because there's a fence in front of me. I can't actually go any further. In fact, I can see the lake glistening in the distance. So 20 minutes in a wood and a little bit of time spent contemplating, and bang, there are images galore coming out of the woodwork, if you'll excuse the pun. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Again, I know a lot of my videos seem to feature composition, but I've already explained why. If you did enjoy it, please click the subscribe button and the little bell button alongside it, so that you'll see when new content is added. And until some new content gets added, which will be in roughly a month's time, take care, enjoy your photography. See you soon. Take care now.